In addition to the case that that Shane was describing at some length here, the SB 1070, the whole Arizona Papers, Please law, the Supreme Court also today did what I think is probably, I think history is going to look back and say that was really the most important moment. The Supreme Court back in 1856 ruled that people are property. It was, Dred Scott versus Sanford, and in that case, they ruled that slaves were actually the property of their masters, and that, just like end of debate, okay? This is it. And arguably that 1856 decision of Dred Scott led right to the Civil War. And in 2010, the Supreme Court ruled the same, only opposite. Instead of ruling that people were property, in 2010, the Supreme Court ruled that property is people. And Citizens United, corporations, property, are the same thing as people. And it's just as bad a decision in my mind, and is taking this country just as close to a civil war. Well, perhaps that's a bit of an overstatement. I don't think that we're going to have a shooting war in America, although, tell that to the people standing around Gabby Giffords. But we'll see. In any case, I'm not expecting that. But dividing America, shall we say? The Supreme Court basically said, "Yeah, corporations are people. Money is speech. We've got to open this thing up." And so Montana has had this law for over 100 years. In fact, it goes back to 1897, as I recall. I've got here it is. William Clark was a copper billionaire. And it was 1899. And the Governor Brian Schweitzer of Montana told us this story on the air a week or so ago here on this show, how William Clark, the copper billionaire, this is Anaconda Copper, I believe, or maybe it was a different name at that time, but the copper was king in Montana. And back at that time, the way that you got into the United States Senate is your state legislature had to appoint you. Or at least that's how it worked in Montana. The federal Constitution simply said that the states had to decide how they were going to send senators, and in most cases, the state Senate or the state House and Senate would simply appoint them. In the case of Montana, it was the state Senate. And what William Clark did is he stood outside the legislature and said, or he said it right out loud, anybody who votes for me for senator will get $10,000. And he literally passed out envelopes with $1,000, $10, $1,000 bills in them to legislators after the vote as they walked out of the chambers in Montana. Now, this hit the newspapers, and it so horrified the actual United States Senate that Montana would do this, that when William Clark came here to Washington, D.C., the United States Senate refused to seat him at first. Said, sorry, you can't sit here having been bribed. And this is what, in large part, led to the passage of the 17th Amendment about a decade and a half later, which says that the citizens of the state will elect the United States senators rather than the state legislatures appointing them, because rich guys were buying their way into office. So Montana had this incredible history of seeing the impact of big money corrupting their legislature and corrupting their laws and corrupting even a United States senator, or vice versa. The United States senator, the guy who bought the Senate seat, corrupting the state. They were so clear about this that they passed a law over 100 years ago. They passed a law that said that corporations, like the big copper mine, can't give money to political candidates. That law, of course, is contradicted by the Citizens United ruling. The law was challenged by a right-wing group in Montana, and the right-wing group being the American Tradition Partnership. And it went up to the state Supreme Court, and the state Supreme Court said, hey, you want proof that this causes corruption, that money in politics causes corruption? And they gave this long list. It ran like 3 pages long of incident after incident after incident, all the way back to the 19th century, of legislators being corrupted by money. And they said, and so the state Supreme Court said, we're going to let this law stand, even though the Supreme Court has passed Citizens United. We're going to let it stand because we can prove a harm. And in Citizens United explicitly says quote, independent expenditures, including those made by corporations, do not give rise to corruption or the appearance of corruption. End of quote. That's right out of the Citizens United ruling. What? Money, corporate money, hey, as Governor Schweitzer said, what could happen? Right. Well, what could happen is pretty obvious. And John McCain, Republican, and Sheldon Whitehouse, Democrat, signed on with Montana Attorney General Steve Bullock. This article by Benji Sarlin over at TPM website to fight this thing. And the Supreme Court today said this is sort of a non-ruling. They didn't actually rule on the case. They didn't hear arguments. They didn't hear debate. What they said was, we're not going to hear this case. And Stephen Breyer issued a dissent about that. Do I have this right, by the way, Shano? I don't. Okay, tell me what I'm missing.
They did. They granted certiorari. So,
right.
But
so they technically heard the case.
Well, they didn't. They ruled on it just without hearing anybody, without any briefs, without any argument. They just said the Montana Supreme Court's reversed.
Right. Okay.
That's it. It's over.
Right. And Breyer issued a dissent in this, and in which he seemed rather upset. He said, even if I were to accept Citizens United, this court's legal conclusion should not bar the Montana Supreme Court's finding made in the record before it that independent expenditures by corporations did, in fact, lead to corruption or the appearance of corruption in Montana. And he says, given their history and political landscape in Montana, they had a compelling interest in limiting corporate money.